Hello everyone, what's up? In my previous video we explored real physical paint damage, chipping that's inflicted, not painted. In this one, we move on to the other part of the weathering equation, shading. This weathering tutorial is a deliberate tribute to the original Forge World style of Horus Heresy painting, where contrast, depth, and atmosphere mattered more than surface decoration, especially on white armor, where shading is what makes or breaks the model. I'll focus on three techniques, used in the order I actually applied them: pin wash, pigments, and airbrush stippling with liquid pigments. Let's get started, shall we? Here you can see the tank after decaling and chipping, and then a couple of coats of Tamiya Clear. This is Starship Wash by ARMOUR of MIG, one of my favorite enamel washes. After using my vortex mixer for a few seconds, which I highly recommend by the way, I decanted about 2 ml using a pipette, and I added about 1 ml of thinner. In other words, the enamel was thinned around 33%. After that, I tested the density of the wash to ensure that it would flow well. Oh, and I always keep a separate paint well just with thinner so that I can clean the synthetic liner brush at regular intervals. Starting with this cupola hatch, you can see how easily the wash flows even on this horizontal surface. I lightly touch one point, and capillary action does the rest for me. On angled surfaces like this, gravity also helps, making the effect even more striking. You need three things to get results like these. First, to spray the surface with gloss clear or gloss varnish before, thereby facilitating both capillary action and the eventual cleanup operation. Second, to use an appropriate brush. Liner brushes like this are the best by far. And third, to ensure that your wash, be it enamel or oil-based, has the right consistency. Look at that! Recessed panel lines and big rivets make for the best shots. I don't know about you, but I find this oddly hypnotic even after watching this footage multiple times. Any big spills can be easily removed on the spot, of course. Enamel or oil washes can also be used to bring out small details like these vents or the metallic structure inside the front assault ramp. Check out what difference a simple wash can make. No matter how careful you are, there will always be some cleaning up involved. Sometimes I use makeup sponges, but for flat surfaces and more delicate objects, I'll revert to a brush as I did here. You just need to make sure that it's very lightly dampened with thinner, but not wet as such. As you can see, I'm taking my time with this, working on one small area at a time. You can push or drag the wash around, but most of the time I'm just removing it using a paper towel which I keep next to me. Then when the brush becomes too dirty, I clean it using the aforementioned pot of thinner, and then I dry the brush so it's only, again, lightly damp. By the way, the brushes that I use here were in rather poor condition, but I didn't have any better ones at hand, that is to say, I didn't have any clean ones. So rather than follow my example in this regard, make sure to get a good condition, small flat brush, and this will be even easier. This was a full 2 hours after application, which is about the drying time that I would recommend for enamels. Much less than that, and it will actually be harder and much longer, and you may not be able to remove the wash. This here is ARMOUR Track Rust, which many of you will have seen me use before, almost always in combination with a makeup brush like this. What I'm doing first is quite literally sprinkling the pigment powder onto the tracks without any concerns about the dust which is falling onto the hull. In fact, I wanted that to happen. Then normally with a stoppier brush, I start stippling the pigment onto the tracks. Again, nothing new here if you've seen me apply pigments before. And note that I always apply them dry. However, this I hadn't done in a while. I'm deliberately using the pigment fallout, so to speak, in order to create realistic dusting in the parts of the hull adjacent to the tracks where dust and dirt would tend to accumulate, especially given the odd shape of this beast. As you can see, this reinforces the contrast from the pin wash, adding a subtle, natural tint to the white paint, which you could not achieve any other way. This is a technique, or a trick if you like, which I came upon pretty much by accident when I painted this guy 7 years ago now. Time flies. Since then, it's been one of my favorite tricks. By the way, it wouldn't be a Race for Terra video if I didn't include some kind of public service announcement. And tonight's PSA is: always wear a mask when you're applying pigments, guys. No, they are not toxic, but you really do not want dust of any sort inside your lungs. You thought I was going to forget the ramp, didn't you? Well, the ramp is even more important. There is no way that would stay clean or undamaged. This is a black umber acrylic liquid pigment by Life Color. I'm going to be spraying it with my Gallery Mobius detail airbrush at a pressure of about 15 psi using my awesome new GTX 778 compressor, also by Gallery. However, I will not be spraying it normally, but instead using the technique known as airbrush stippling, using the Mobius's MAC valve. Allow me to demonstrate. You can depress the trigger in bursts and create superfine speckling, or continuously creating a fine mist. First of all, check out the effect on the most heavily weathered upper hull sections. As you can see, rather than overwriting previous effects, this complements them. Also, the speckling is much finer than you could possibly accomplish with any other method, and with an airbrush like this, I can be really accurate with the placement. On cleaner, mostly white panels, the effect is really striking. Here I used it to add definition to the panel lines, which become much more visible than with just the pin wash. In addition, you will have noticed that this liquid pigment is not brownish, but greenish in fact. This adds tonal variation to what was essentially just white and reddish browns before. Here the effect is not meant to be realistic this time, but more artistic license. Stippling liquid pigments is also a great way to create soot effects, even on really small details like these. You can easily modulate it using different trigger techniques as I showed before. And of course it also works for much bigger objects like this engine grille. You can also use it to accentuate panel lines that have less relief than others, or to ensure that every nook and cranny gets some shading. Since you can really get up close and personal, and also change the angle of attack, you can reach anywhere and make sure that you achieve the look that you had envisaged. As far as I'm aware, airbrush stippling with liquid pigments isn't something that you'll find in other scale modeling or miniature painting tutorials. It's a technique that I arrived at through experimentation, and it's now one of the most effective tools that I have for unifying a finish. So if you haven't already, why don't you go ahead and try this and let me know how it goes. So there you have it, a fully weathered World Eater's Land Raider in the Race for Terra style, but paying tribute to the original Forge World army painted by Mark Bedford. So guys, if you learned a new technique, or maybe got some inspiration from this video, consider joining my Patreon and the Discord community. It's where these ideas get tested, discussed, and pushed further by a group of like-minded weathering obsessives. As always, a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. You make videos like this possible, because if I had to rely on YouTube ad revenue alone, let's just say that I'd be mixing my own liquid pigments with whatever dust I could find on the floor. Thanks for watching, guys, and remember, keep it up and weather it out.